change really quickly. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the station. Ain't no second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known. Would have kept me from what I have today.
Good morning. I'm just going to go ahead and turn the guys off because, man, I've been missing y'all. It's been a couple of days. Hey, guys, this is 1100 WSGI. I'm Utah LaVern, and this is One Street Over, and we're back. I'm back. I've been out a couple of days. Thank you, Lee Marie, for filling in on Wednesday. It's Thursday, right? I had a stomach bug or something. I don't know. I guess being a teacher and all the things and having grandkids, but thank you, Lee Marie, for filling in yesterday. She was even sick on Tuesday, so we didn't get to do the show on Tuesday. I miss y'all when I'm not here. So I'm back. I'm just turning you guys up. There we go. I got Pat and Sean Reilly in the house today.
Well, happy you are healed.
I am too. Because
Indeed.
I had a couple of shows I had to cancel with some folks, and we got to talk about what's going on at Willow Oak because they got a big concert tomorrow night. We'll talk a little bit about that because we missed a visit from Sweet Lacey on Tuesday. Yeah, that was the morning I got so sick, but so we had to reschedule her. We didn't get to meet with the veterans this week. We normally do that on Wednesday. The first Wednesday. And so, but we kind of got caught up with our veterans last week because we had Vietnam Veterans Day. And so we kind of got caught up there. But you kind of feel like it's like, okay, what did we miss? But I'm so glad I got well enough to get back in here with you guys.
Well, we are thrilled to be here.
Oh, I'm telling you, if you guys don't realize, Pat and I have a long radio history. Pat you came to WLAC doing afternoons originally, or was it evenings?
Well, the first time it was morning rock and roll, 75 to 80, and then we came back in the late 80s.
Yeah, that's when I was
And we
there.
did the afternoons, yeah.
Yeah, because I was your traffic reporter.
Yes, you became U-Turn LaVern.
I was U-Turn. I started U-Turn. We started doing U-Turn LaVern in 84, late 84.
Yeah.
And so I had 28 years as U-Turn LaVern. How many years were you on LAC? Because, again, this is like back when LAC was the rock station, the powerhouse rock station, right, when you were originally on there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, LAC went through an awful lot of different formats. I mean, we brought rock and roll to Nashville from 75 to 80. WMAK was popular, but LAC came in and we dominated.
Yeah.
And we had such success. I went to D.C. for a couple of years and then to Chicago and then came back to Nashville. Felt like I was being drawn back home.
Yeah.
Did afternoons at LAC FM, the Class FM.
Oh, yeah.
With limos and Lears.
We did the radio show, and it was a hit because we would go and do remotes, and we would show up in a limo, and we would have tuxedos on. Mm-hmm. Now, I've got some fun pictures of that. I've got some fun pics of you and me even.
Yeah,
I've got to dig out. But we gave away a house. Remember that?
We gave away a house. We gave away 2 Jaguars.
Yeah.
One for him and one for her.
It was crazy. It was crazy times, man.
It was class, yeah.
And it was classic. I'm so thankful. Because I was the kid. I'm sorry, guys. We're just kind of reminiscing here for a minute. And hi, Sean. We gotta say hi to Sean, though. Poor Sean's over here going, "Hey, I'm here."
You remember I was the one doing traffic reports in a chopper copter.
Were you now?
Yeah.
Sean is Pat's son, and
even Bob Boggess is a traffic reporter.
Yeah.
And so I hear him.
Bob, I love him. Is he still doing traffic?
I have no idea.
I kind of think he is.
I hear him when he's on Mix 99, and then on 94FM The Fish and so forth. So,
well, the Fish kind of went.
So I hear a lot of traffic reports from
Fish
him.
is kind of like
accent usually.
Hadn't it sold or something?
Is the Fish over?
I don't know.
I'm sorry to hear that because we need more. We need more godliness.
I need to find out the whole story because I've got friends over there, and I just got I saw Doug's post, and I was like, what? Because something happened, and they got bought by the K-Love group that owns K-Love, I think, and I probably have all the facts wrong here because I haven't looked into it because I'm just so checked out of that scene, but man, radio is not what it used to be. But I got to finish talking to Sean here for a minute. Your birthday coming up. When's your birthday?
The 19th of April.
Oh, goodness. How old you going to be?
47 now.
Wow. I've known
46.
you since you were a kid. I'm getting old.
Well, he's getting to be an old kid himself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I still love my stuff I'm doing. I'm still doing music. I'm still doing my computer, and I'm still looking up bands, and I'm still looking up, and I'm still doing my playing and having fun and making my bed and making my dad's bed.
Oh, I love you, bro. I'm so glad to see you.
We put the boy to work.
I know. Well, he's got chores. He's got household chores. How's Mom doing?
She's been doing fine right now, but the last time she had to go to hospital again.
Okay.
And she's doing okay.
Okay.
Well, it's Ricky. She had a stroke about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We're trying to love her back to, full health.
God bless y'all. I love y'all. I'm so glad you called me, Patrick. It's just, we get so busy. I tell everybody, let me know when you need to come on. There's so many things goes on in the community, and I'm so busy with teaching and the ministry work that I do and all of those things. And plus, I had to go back to school for my educational preparedness program to be a teacher. Because they don't just let us career people come bouncing in and teach, they have to teach us to teach. And so I'm in the process of that right now. And then, of course, I don't know if you knew, my mother passed away the day after Christmas.
Oh, I'm sorry. Day after Christmas.
Day after Christmas.
You know what? That was the day. That was the anniversary of my baptism.
Oh, you're kidding. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, 26th of December.
Wow.
1975.
Wow. Yeah. You have such an interesting history. But I say all that to say, I apologize. I haven't reached out myself, but I'm so glad y'all did.
Well, we're not going to whip you upside the head for that. That'd be all right.
I think Sean will keep you on track. Say, hey, we haven't seen LaVern in a while. We need to go in and say hi.
As a matter of fact, he did.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Because we do a lot of things together. We go for helicopter rides.
Yeah.
We go to the airport. We go to we went to the Science Museum, and we saw the.
And I want you to know what we saw at the Science Center. We got to see the plantation.
Okay.
And
Planetarium.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do about Monday? Because Monday's the big, the big
solar eclipse.
Solar eclipse. I couldn't find my words.
You had a blackout yourself, didn't you? Absolutely.
Yeah, the solar eclipse.
The moon crossed her brain.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
an instant.
Thank you.
I heard
Keep
about
on that microphone for me. Pull that to you, babe.
There you go.
Okay, where's
there? That's perfect.
Come on.
I heard about the moon is coming tomorrow, Monday. That's going to be a solar eclipse.
Yes,
the moon is coming.
Cool. It's going to be cool.
Isn't that bizarre? Because this is Easter week, and you know that where they get the date for Easter, it's the first full moon after the spring solstice. Mm-hmm. So the moon has been coming up a lot lately.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Strange signs in the heavens. Right?
I tell you, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
But we're sitting here. Go ahead, Sean. Yes.
How did your mom pass away?
She is, she was 84, and she had cancer for a while.
Oh, what was her name?
Clarine.
Clarine, uh-oh.
Not Clarence. Everybody called her Clarence, but Clarine. So, but you'd look at the name and they'd mispronounce it. And it's like, no, it's Clarine. But she's with Daddy. She's with my sister. She's with her mama and Daddy. She had a great homecoming. It was just very hard we weren't expecting it, but we're actually going to be, they're from the Mayfield area, and they're going to be a part of the area that's going to be totality for the solar eclipse. Mm-hmm. So we planned a family day to come and go, and we're packing up the farmhouse in Kentucky that my dad grew up in, and my parents lived their entire life in. So we're packing things up because some of our people that have worked on our farm for, 30 years are moving into the farmhouse. We're pretty excited about that.
Oh, they're not squatters now.
No. Lord, no. They're family. But we're tickled. It's just cool. It's just cool. And so we don't have to get everything out. We can leave a few pieces of furniture and things like that, but we're still having to clear the house out And so we're doing that on Monday. And part of the reason we're going Monday is because it's going to be totality and it's the eclipse. Mm-hmm. And so, it was a convenient day, but we planned that a couple of months ago because I've had my eye on the eclipse. I'm like, ooh, and it's going to happen right there in Mayfield, Paducah.
Well, if you put your eye on it, make sure you wear glasses.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting when it all goes dark. Because when that happened in 2017, that was the most peculiar thing. Everything went dark and the crickets started. And the frogs started croaking, and the dogs started howling, and it was just bizarre, So solar eclipse, we're going to be talking about that. I've got Bill Jones, who's our local weather person, is coming in on Monday to talk about that. Now I was going to give him a full hour. I was going to give Lacey a full hour, and I remembered I had them both scheduled, so they're both going to have to just kind of shorten their visit since we're trying to make up time. But we'll get both of them in here on Monday. But to kind of update that, I've got some things I need to tell you about some of the churches that have some things going on this weekend, and so we'll get to all that. But today we're talking to Pat and Sean Reilly, my friends, and as you catch, the intro here, Pat and I have a history. We've known each other a long time. We've grown old together. You're a little bit older than me. You're a little older than me.
You make it sound like a married couple.
Hey, you turn the phone.
We've grown old together.
It's kind of like that in radio. You get your work spouse sometimes. You spend so much time with them. Because when we were on radio together, man, we were tons of time. I think Sean wanted to say something. What do you want to say, sweetheart?
I want to say, where are you going to move to now since you won't have the farmhouse?
Oh, no, this is the farmhouse my parents lived in.
Oh, wow.
The farm, it's still on the farm. My brother runs the farm. He's a third-generation farmer. We've been very blessed. So him and his wife run the farm, or own the farm now.
Well,
and
cool.
the old farmhouse, none of the family is needing it.
So if things go south now, you're in pretty good shape. And I'm serious, right?
I don't think anything's calling me back to Kentucky. It was a blessing to grow up there, but I don't see anything calling me back to Kentucky.
But you have access to food.
Yeah, well, yes, of course. But we have a little land up here, too, so, But,
well, you used to have big parties at your land up here.
Yeah, remember that?
Been doing that anymore?
No, we did that with the roofing company. The first one was just a radio party. And I can remember because this is back when Phil Valentine and Terry Hopkins and all them were still around.
Right.
And so Phil and Terry, we had just a big radio party, and it was a bunch of us up here. I'm sure that's one you're thinking about. And we the next year we decided to make it into a Cardinal Roofing cookout. And I remember Terry going, it now became a tax deduction. Because he loved it. He was like, this is great. Yeah. And so we decided to make it a yearly event. We did it for about 10 years.
Yeah, it was a clever idea.
It was fun.
And a lot of fun, too.
It was a lot of fun. But it got expensive. Because, it's just, and we finally just had to go, I'm not going to borrow money to throw a party. Mm-hmm.
Even after the tax deduction, you still got...
Yeah, because that was really about the time the economy was starting to take a turn. It wasn't too long after that. We ended up just, disbanding the roofing company. So, because it just wasn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank heavens everything's turned around. The economy is great today.
Sure.
Yeah. Everyone is thriving and growing and happy and at peace.
As long as you got Jesus in your life, you do.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Just saying.
There you go.
You can live in peace and shalom no matter what's going on.
Yes, people don't know that. That's so sad that people do not understand.
I know.
I remember when I was raised Catholic. Okay, raised Catholic. So I learned all the lessons. I learned about Jesus. Also learned that there were really 11 commandments. You learned a lot of things that weren't true. Did well, but got away. Became an atheist for several years.
Yeah.
And then it just hit me one day. Just hit me. I got in some, without going into details, I got into some trouble. And I said, Jesus, you get me out of this. Prove you're real to me, and bang. You know what? Everything changed after that. I not only got out of the trouble, but I developed such a peace at that time. Mm-hmm. And that peace lasted for probably 2 years. That's when I came to Nashville. I was working in Boston. We had a successful radio program in Boston, making a lot of money for that time. I just quit. I went skydiving. Bang, I'm gone. That's what my wife called it. You're leaving this highly paid gig. You're going to Nashville? Why? I said, I have no idea. I had a dream. I saw this gentleman who was smoking a pipe. He had a checkered shirt. He was leaning up against the wall, and I knew it was Nashville. So I went to Nashville. friend of mine, I had one person here, Buddy Blake, who ran something called Programmers Digest. He said, I can't pay you any money, but I can show you around. So we came down here, and immediately we went over to WLAC. He says, I got to find you a gig someplace. At that time, we just lost the morning guy. This was in 1975. Okay. Just lost. I think his name was Van Winkle.
Okay.
As I recall.
Okay.
So it put me on the air as a kind of a dry run, and it was a big hit. We had a lot of success that week. So that's when really things began to explode around WLAC.
Oh man,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we had a good. We had a great time. This was a time when rock and roll music was just beginning to become popularized. Everything was country here. At that time. Yeah. I began to hear songs I had never heard before, mostly country rock. Like Charlie Daniels used to hang out at the radio station. England Dan, John Ford Coley, they would hang out there. Wet Willie, the concerts we would put on. The legendary Hossman was doing the all night show with still with the gospel music.
And this is Hossman from LAC, not one from SIX.
I think they kind of caught on with me. I had a revelation. I became baptized, and from that point forward, things, as I say, things were wonderful in my life for about 2 years. They were absolutely perfect. Then you begin to run into problems. I think that happens with new Christians. See, everything is ideal, and then suddenly, this is a challenge. God wouldn't allow this to happen to me. Or how dare the world treat me this way? Or that preacher, did you hear what he said? Or did you hear how I'm being rejected by my own people in my church? And they become confused and apathetic, and ultimately fall away. That happened also, for a while. But what you find is, as you develop in your history, is that God is grooming you through these trials for a higher sense of character, so that you are more like Christ. Then there are periods of respite. There's periods when things are ideal again. Then you run into more trouble. But now you have more muscle to deal with that trouble until you grow and you grow and you grow, and ultimately you become a Renaissance person. You're a Renaissance woman. You know what Renaissance means?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you know what it means?
When I define, I'll say somebody's a Renaissance man, and I mean that just means they have their hand in a little bit of everything, and they just have a lot of different talents and a lot of different skills and things like that. That's how I define it. So I'm flattered that you would call me a Renaissance.
Well, I was in military.
I've never been called that, so thank you. Thank you.
I speak French. Okay, they taught me French before I went into the service where we did undercover.
Question: Is it a requirement to speak another language to be a Renaissance person?
I think so.
But I'm not. I wish I spoke another language. I got to get me a language down if I want to be a Renaissance woman. Just saying.
But Renaissance, naissance in French means birth. And ren means renewal. So it means being born again.
Oh, cool.
Isn't that interesting?
I did not know
It means being born again. Not in a spiritual sense that Christians refer to it, but that is literally what it means. And I thought that's a great parallel, because once you are born again, you can unleash all of your talents toward God in peace. Mm-hmm. Before many people are born again, they're searching for their identities. Who am I? Am I a lawyer? Am I a teacher? Am I a housewife? What am I? When you become born again, something hits you, or at least hit me. I am all those things, but I'm more than that. I'm a child of God. Yeah. I'm a child of love. If I ever wonder who I am, all I have to do is look at my birth certificate. I'm a child of God. I'm a child of love, as we the kingdom, one of my favorite groups.
That is so cool. You just keep going, Pat, man. This is good stuff. I think this is Faith Friday, man. But and I got just something.
I wanted to share it. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to come on today.
I'm glad you did, especially here Easter week. And it's and I know we're post Easter, but the Orthodox Easter is not until May 5th. Greek, or not Greek, but Egyptian Orthodox, the Coptic Christians, they celebrate Easter on a different calendar, and theirs is May 5th. And if you want to have a cool experience, y'all, there are Coptic Christian churches all over the area. You've got a bunch out there by you, and they love for you to visit them. Their Easter is on May 5th, and so they will gather on the 4th that evening. And you need to be in that church with them at midnight and watch what happens, because it's so stinking cool. It's like you're stepping into another country, and to see the way that they praise and worship, it is amazing. But I'll tell you, go late, because if you don't, you're going to be on your feet for hours and hours and hours and hours. If you go Saturday, like at 7, like I did one time, it was a long night. But you can go in there late, but you want to be there at midnight.
I heard some story about
you want to be there at midnight.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff.
You got to be a midnight rider right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's cool stuff.
I heard something about the change in dates, though, because of that has to do with the solar and the lunar and all that sort of thing. And since in the original calendar, Easter came again the first full moon after the spring solstice, right? Right. Which
I'm guessing. I'm not sure. I don't know for sure. But
because a leap year this year came on March 31st.
Right.
But generally it's like April 1st. And the story, I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah.
But that the reason why April Fool's Day came to pass is because the Coptic Christians considered those who believed in the old date to be April Fools.
Interesting. Ooh, I'm gonna have to ask my friends about that.
Interesting story. Yeah.
I'll have to ask them about that, because I mean, they are all so kind, and they always wish me happy this, happy that. They'll wish me Merry Christmas on American Christmas, but even though their Christmas is later and different calendar, and so I always ask them, well, which one are you celebrating? They're like American and Egyptian. They do both of them, but one of them sent me a note the other day, Happy Easter, and I said, when is your Easter this year? And she told me May 5th, and so I'll ask her. I'll reach out to her and say, okay, what do you know about April 1st? That's interesting. Yeah. That is fascinating. And when I look at our calendar, though, Jewish Passover, though, was this past weekend. So we're in line with the Jewish calendar. So that, to me, is kind of more where we need to, I guess, where we need to gauge it. I don't know, because I'm thinking I need to coincide more with the
We don't
Jewish
know
calendar.
when the resurrection actually
really.
took
No,
place.
of course not.
Nobody knows, any more than we're going to know when Jesus is coming back.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like a thief in the night.
Like a thief in the night.
I
Nobody's
love you guys.
know.
I'm so glad you're here.
That's something else that came
I'm so
up.
glad to be back in the studio.
Something else to mention about the solstice. Our preacher at Joy Church the other day was talking about the solstice, or not the solstice, but the
eclipse.
Yeah, about the eclipse.
So you had
I had a little eclipse, a total eclipse of the brain there.
Yeah, just like me.
And he said the same thing. We're looking for signs and wonders and things that don't exist. If there's apparently preachers, false prophets coming on all over the net, and they're saying that this means something, that now I know what the date is. Anybody who says that is obviously a false prophet, because the Bible says that nobody knows except the Father. Nobody.
Thank you.
So, frauds go away.
Yeah, for sure. Talking with Pat and Sean Reilly, my friends, old radio buddy, and just dear friends, and Pat had some things he wanted to share, so reached out. And when you have something you want to share on radio, reach out to me. You can message me on Facebook is probably the easiest way. I'll give my number, man. You can text me 615-594-7736, 615-594-7736. I don't do voicemail, so just text me. Say, hey, I've got something I want to come on the show with. You can email me, LaVern@LaVernVivio.com, LaVern@LaVernVivio.com, or send me a message on social media with Facebook, and I will get back with you, I promise. Sometimes you have to pester me because I get busy. I'm teaching the kids during the day, so the phone's off. That's why you need to text me. We need to cover one of our sponsors right now, my friends, the Myers. We missed talking about Perry on Tuesday because I was not here, but I do want to remind you, if you want to be in on his rock band camps, you got to message them and let them know, because they're going to be filling up and you're not going to have any slots. But today is the day we talk about Katie Did It Designs. So cool what she's doing. She had a passion. She's like, man, I just really want to be a designer. I want to be a contractor. And I want to get out on my own. And so one day she just did it. And she's doing a great job. At Katie Did It Designs, she is doing some cool stuff. You can follow her on her Facebook page, Katie Did It Designs, and Katie is Katy. Did It Designs with an S, and that's also her .com, KatieDidItDesigns.com, Katie Myers. You can reach out to her about all the things she's got going on. Of course, she'll hook you up with her hubby too for the rock band camps, but you can call her and say, okay, I just need some help with color. That's my big thing. I need color and some design layout help. And so that's what she's helping me with. But now you can tell her, say, okay, I want you to do me a do-it-yourself package. And she can come in and take care of that and give you all the different links to the different things to do it yourself. Or maybe you say, I really just want to tell you what I need and let you do it. And she can do that. And you can say, well, I've got all this stuff I want to reuse. And she'll do that. Do you get the idea that she can customize what you need to fit your need and your budget? That's the key. Katie Did It Designs, they can do it all. They can do as little as you want or every bit of it. You just need to reach out to her. Phone number is 615-525-5506, 615-525-5506, or you can go to Katie Did It Designs. Again, that's Katie with a Y, Did It Designs with an S.com, or find her on social media, Katie Did It Designs. And when you get in touch with her, always, please, 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 let her know that U-Turn sent you. And as we get back into the show this morning, my dear friends, the Reillys, are in the house. And what do we want to talk about then? So we talked a little bit about your testimony, and that was awesome. But what else do you want to cover today? Pat reached out to me last week before I had the little bug, and I'm so glad that I got well enough to get back in here today, so I didn't miss talking with you guys. Mm-hmm. So what is it else that you wanted to bring to us today?
Kind of like to get your take on how far along we are.
What do you mean on the...
We see signs. We have wars. We have rumors of wars. We have violence in the streets.
Okay.
We have a vast turning away from the churches. Church attendance is way down. We have lies and deceptions coming from all sides. Mm-hmm. How much worse does it have to get?
Well, I'll tell you. We're not having to hide in tunnels to worship and doing the things that the early Christians did. So I have really gotten deep into the study with the Bema Discipleship podcast with Marty Solomon and Britt Billingsley. And if you have not heard that, then you won't know exactly where I'm going with this. I've always had a different take on Revelations, okay? And on Revelation, I mean. And my take on Revelation as a child, as we were growing up, was always... okay, we don't really understand it. We know that we can't know the day. It's like a thief in the night. But then there's parts where it says, but we can know when he's at the door and all these things. So what does all that mean? And so I always had so many questions about my understanding of the translation of Scripture. And so I've been digging deep into anybody that will teach me something about understanding how to translate Scripture in a better way.
Sure.
I've discovered the work of Ray Vanderlaan. I don't know if you know who that is. He is with Focus on the Family, and he was probably one of the original. He is the first one, probably 30, 40 years ago, started pushing out these, looking at text to context. In other words, what does the New Testament say and what was taken straight from the Old Testament, or as the Jewish people call the Tanakh, and bringing it all together, right? And I've never really... and you and I have had this conversation because I think one time, this has been many years ago, we were talking about the book of Revelation. And I said, well, I don't believe that's really a look into our future. I believe it was more about what was happening at the time. And you and I kind of went back and forth on it, and we kind of agreed to disagree. But then my study was... I heard a lot of studies on Revelation, and I thought, well, maybe they're right. Maybe it is Russia and this one, and I would see all these little things brought together, and Gog and Magog and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't know. And then I kept studying and studying and studying. This has really been like a 20-year process for me, this new the way I'm interpreting Scripture now. And boy, the final pieces really got put together with Marty Solomon and Brent Billingsley with the Bema podcast. And go and listen to that series. And it's really hard to say, just go listen to Revelation, but you'll see where I'm coming at. And everything that was written in Revelation, I believe, was a dirge. I mean, this is quoting from the Archaeological Bible. It says, John wrote a dirge for the Roman Empire. It was about the fall of Rome. And if you look at how it's laid out in the very apocalyptic style of writing, it mimics what would happen whenever they would have the Olympic Games. I mean, big. It echoes it. And it is mind-boggling. When you really, go listen to it, it'll blow your mind, Pat. It'll blow your mind. And I didn't mean you'll agree with it. But, and that's why I hesitate to say, well, go listen to the Revelation study that's with the BEMA podcast, and that's BEMA, Discipleship, Marty Solomon, Brent Billings. And they started this back, I'm wanting to say in 2017, started putting this, they had this study that they were doing in their church. And a lot of people would have to miss. And so Brent and Marty said, well, why don't we do a little podcast so they can just tune in? Because anybody can do a podcast. Well, it caught fire. And I mean, they've got people listening all over the world now. And it's really, I don't know that it has, an audience like Glenn Beck or somebody like that, but it's got a pretty popular
Well,
audience.
what's it saying? What's the point of it?
The point of it is that we need to understand that Scripture was originally written to a people that's not us. Is it for us? Absolutely. It's God's story.
The New Testament is also filled with all kinds of suggestions of the end times.
Well, yeah, but
reams of them. It's not just the book of Revelation. And it says that we should be watchmen because these signs draweth near.
Go listen to again, I'd have to have my notes in front of me to really speak specifically to this, but it's mind blowing. It is mind blowing. And I'm trying to kind of, it's like I'm looking at the work that they've done with BEMA, and I'm like, how can I share this with people in a concise way?
Could you give us a hint?
Well, I don't know. I think I kind of just did.
Give me a little revelation.
But I'm just saying that when you look at you have to remember that everything that was written to the people right there. So what was going on in their world? Okay. So for instance, if you look at Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, look at the Gospels, right? I have seen so many studies. I went to Freed Hardeman and David Lipscomb, and I can remember being in classes, biblical classes, because you had to take Bible, and you had to go to chapel and do all these things. But heaven forbid you get in the pulpit if you're a woman. No, you can't do that. I digress. We won't go there. But I'm sorry. I go down a rabbit hole. Okay, we had classes that talked about trying to harmonize the Gospels, because one would write this and one would write that, but that's not kind of the same story. But why are they writing it this way? Well, if you look at it from the perspective that Marty and Brent teach, and this is not just them. This is coming from Ray Vanderlaan. This is tons of people that they are bringing to the forefront. They're saying, okay, Matthew was written for a specific purpose and a specific audience. Mark was written for a specific purpose and a specific audience. Luke and John, same thing. So Matthew was written to a Jewish audience to let them know, hey, the Messiah's here and he wasn't who you thought it was going to be. It was written they call it a mumser, okay? It's the people who are the outcast. Jesus would have not been accepted really in society because everybody knew that, Joseph wasn't his real dad. You know what I mean? That it was known.
Well, he kind of wasn't really accepted really good by a lot of people.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like the mumser was the person who was born outside of the guidelines of Torah. And Timothy would have been a mumser because he had a Jewish mother and a Greek father. Okay. He would have been a mumser. So the Matthew, if you look at it, even if you look at the genealogy of Jesus that Matthew shares, he shares women. He shares women with not great reputations. You would never share women in a genealogy. If you're trying to prove that Messiah is Jesus and you're bringing women into it, what are you doing? And so his entire gospel is written to the Jewish people saying, he's here and he's not who you think he is. Well, then Mark comes along, and if you look at his gospel, it seems to be written more to the Roman, the Gentile, the Greeks and the Romans that were coming along and wanting to learn about Christ. And it was written in a very fast pace, and it was like boom, 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 and it moves much faster, and it's written more in a Greek style. Well, then you have Luke, and then if you go into a synagogue, you have a portion that's read every week. You'll have a portion of Old Testament scripture. You'll have a portion of the readings. Like there's a lot here, Pat. Man, there's a lot to unpack. But Luke was written I believe now, as something that was supposed to accompany scripture that was being read in synagogue, like along with the Torah and all that. It was kind of written to accompany that, and then John was written as a where you brought them all together, where it was written to all the people, because he was in Asia, he was in the churches in Asia, he was in Ephesus when he wrote, I believe, his gospel. So they were all written for a specific purpose to a specific audience, and that changes completely the way you perceive it. It's fascinating.
Well, what is the perception? Does that mean that there is no relevance to today's world?
Oh, no, not at all.
I'm kind of missing the point.
Well, because the point is, it's all relevant because it's God's story.
Yeah.
But it's us understanding that God's story is just simply Him calling us into cooperation with Him and putting the world back together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like from the very fall of man, God just wants His people to come and help Him put the world back together. You know. And
so, do you literally believe in a second coming of Christ?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I'm a little bit confused about what your point is concerning this. You say the gospel is relevant to today's times.
Absolutely.
And we see, the fall of the Roman Empire is very similar to what I believe we are seeing in the world today.
And it could be. You may be exactly right.
It could be that history repeats itself.
Very possibly,
and this is only another cycle. And it could be another 1,000, 10,000 years before the ultimate disgust that God has with the planet and says, I'm going to come back and clean things up, take my people with him.
Yeah, I guess.
It could be a recycle, but this also could be the time.
Sure.
Look what is happening out there today.
Well, but
I've never seen anything like this, have you?
I have not, but then again, when I start studying, the martyrs and the things that they were dealing with in the early church, and they're in the dark ages, and they didn't even have scripture to read. And,
it could get much worse. There's no question.
I think we fall. I think we miss the point sometime. We just got to keep being love. I mean, purely, all the things that are going on around us. Don't engage with it, but you got to still be. You still got to love them. Mm-hmm. You still got to love them.
Sure, absolutely. That's what we're about. God is love. We're supposed to be representatives. We're ambassadors. We're priests. We're kings. Yeah. We're negotiators. Mm-hmm. We're closers. We're supposed to be those Renaissance people on behalf of God Almighty.
Yeah.
But there's just a tremendous, even the church people. My pastor, for example, Jim Fries, he pointing out there's no question that Christians are being eased out in the public relations war today. There's negativism being taught about the Christians. In some cases, because you're raising a child in a Christian fashion, and some local government discovers something which is contrary to their DEI, their wokeness, right?
Yeah.
Which is ironic because DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is DEI, which of course Latin for God, which is sounds like a counterfeit to me. It's either DEI or DEI, how are you going to pronounce it? But if there's a conflict to that sort of thing, it has to be dealt with.
Yeah.
It has to be dealt with.
I mean, absolutely. I'm not saying that we should be like, it's all okay, because it's, no. I'm saying that I think it should, when we see things going awry, that should make us even more resolved to live for Christ and to shine love and light into the world. And I don't think we do that by being angry on social media and calling
absolutely
people out,
right,
and getting in these social media fights and just all that nonsense. Right. I just think, what a waste. That's not how we're supposed to display who we are to the world. Yeah. In any way. But that doesn't mean, there was something, that somebody that I knew, from another state, and they kept putting up on their social media, and I had followed them at one point years ago, and I thought, I don't need to see that anymore. So I don't hope they don't see that. I mean, because I don't know what's going on in their life. It's something that I just don't want to witness. So I unfollowed them.
Not a problem. We're not supposed to.
Yeah, and that's not to say that I'm always doing the righteous thing, because I guarantee you I turn things on TV.
We just don't need to wallow in negativism.
But
we don't need. But we have to see it, and we have to understand it's there.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Go and listen to the Bama podcast, y'all. It is fascinating, and you don't have to agree. Marty was saying some stuff. I've re-listened to it a lot, and he was saying something today, and I can't remember specifically where it was, but I was like, well, I don't think I really agree with that. That's okay. I've learned so much that I do agree with, because he's pointed me to places where I can study it for myself, and I'm just blown away, because my call on my life, I know, the one thing I'm sure of, is God has called me to continue to ask questions, because I have been asking them to the annoyance of my family ever since I was little, because I never really understood why I couldn't do what I felt God calling me to do, because I was a girl. And that's been a big issue for me my whole life. And I didn't realize how big it was really until probably the last 10, 15 years. And it's become more, and maybe the last 20 even, that I've been really struggling with this. And I struggle with this with my church leadership, because I think we are absolutely wrong in limiting women in any way in ministry. I just don't, I'm just like, I see it so clearly now.
Is that going on in your church?
Oh, it's going on in a lot of churches, Pat.
Not ours.
Well, I understand it's not. I'm familiar with your guy. Yeah. And I mean, and I've listened to him some, and he loves Greek, boy. He is good with Greek. And, it's so funny. He loves Greek. Marty hates Greek. It's so funny because but they of course you have to work. That's what it was written in. That's what the testimony of the apostles, that was what it was written in.
Well, that's one of the things that you're studying.
Yeah.
The history, the reality of the original meaning of the Gospels.
So it's fascinating. But yes, the issues with women in congregations is still enormous in churches.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Because I think it's time to put it aside. And I know I have so many people I go to church with. Have you heard what LaVern said? I have a friend of mine. She's so funny. She goes, LaVern, when you're saying that, people are hearing you. I'm like, I know, because I think they need to. And
what are you saying?
I'm good.
What are you saying?
My
Shock
dear sister, my dear friend. But she's like, that. Well, the more I say, the more likely they're to not let me teach, because they're like, well, she's teaching outside of our theology. And I'm just teaching what I feel God, or I'm sharing. I'm not teaching. Nobody let me teach Bible right now, but I am sharing what I feel very powerfully that God has put on my heart to share. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to stop unless he tells me to, or he shuts my mouth. And that could happen, but so far he hasn't. All he's done is compelled me deeper into it and to be more bold, I guess. But
bold, steadfast, and immovable. That's LaVern, the Renaissance woman.
I love you. Pat and Sean Reilly are in the house, and this is a crazy way to say, welcome back. I've been gone for a couple of days. I've been under the weather, but this is my dear friend.
Well, you were sick, and now you're well.
Oh, yeah, always.
Little parable there.
Promise me that if I don't call y'all for a couple of months, y'all call me and come back in here, because we've still got 15 minutes, but I got to do a couple of ads, and I want you to push your book too. Have you written the other one yet?
This is interesting. I'm about a third of the way through the first draft.
Okay.
Of my second book, which is called The Communicators, and it has to do. You remember what it's about?
And I haven't read it all, but I have read parts of it, and it is good.
Yeah. Well, it's also. I mean, what it is again, as Lord Acton said. Humor is the oil of the sword. And what this book is about some pretty evil things that we think is going on in the world, moving toward a one world government, which I believe we are, because now we have the technology and the power and the elites to be able to do it. We have the Schwabs. Well, let's not do any names here.
Right.
But you have conferences in Switzerland, and you have very strange laws coming out from very bizarre places. Mm-hmm. So this is really about the fight of Christians against the one world order. And again, showing that all of us can be agents for God. Mm-hmm.
It's about the spiritual realm and things like that, which I absolutely believe there's things happening in the heavenlies that we don't see. And
basically, David Cyber he's a former government agent, gets out of the service, gets into the media, becomes not only disillusioned by the media, but almost thrown out of the media because he speaks the truth. So he goes out and does various other works. He gets recruited by angels while he's in the service, and goes out and does little functions. He busts a crooked politician, for example, gets together with the angels and does a lift of a Chinese student who has the key to overcoming the Israeli Iron Dome system. In other words, helping to avert World War III. They come back and set up a clandestine pirate radio station so they can speak the truth in a deserted CIA airliner in the Smoky Mountains. So it's a lot of fun. It really is. It's a ride. And you actually get a confrontation with Satan, where the angels and Cyber just rip Satan to shreds.
I've read most of it. I've got attention span like this, and I just have got so many things going in my studies, but it is a good book.
Did you get to the trip to the millennial rule of Christ?
No.
I think it's the 3rd chapter.
No, I thought, well, yes, I have then, because I've gotten past there. But
it describes what life would be.
Yeah.
If people were if the rule was under the rule of Jesus instead of politicians.
Yes. I have read that part.
It was a beautiful world.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love you, brother. Pat and Sean Reilly are here in the house. Let's take a quick break. And again, you can find his book, just Google him, and you'll find it on Amazon. And you can find it.
It's everywhere now. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. I mean, if you go, the Cyber is Psyber. That's the novella, and Clipped Eagles is a short story.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great, and you need to check it out, guys. I love my friend here, and Sean, you've been just so awesome. But let me do my break here, and we'll get back and we'll continue talking with my friends, Pat and Sean Reilly. Let's talk for a minute, though, about Veterans Motorplex getting ready to race, guys. We are trying to get ready for racing. Racing season's already here. Racing season technically starts in March, but racing season, even though we're in the middle, we're in April now. They've delayed the first race because they've been doing some track improvements. So that is the big thing that has been happening, are the track improvements to make it absolutely perfect. You want to definitely get out there and check them out as soon as we get everything opened and ready to go. But the big news that Jerry wants you to know is he's still going to have that $40 ticket for your family. You can get up to 8 people in for $40, and that's up to 6 kids and 2 adults for the one $40 ticket price to come and see Racing on the Ridge, y'all. This is at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier, and it is a good time. It is so much fun. They race through October. First race is going to be happening any day, y'all. It is on a fast, quarter-mile high banked asphalt bull ring, and it's fun for the whole family. No alcohol served here, so it's a family atmosphere. Great concession stand. Some of my students work in the concession stand. First job out there. Jerry's a great guy. They kept the social media page Highland Rim Speedway because he had so many followers. But when you get to Highland Rim Speedway, you're going to very clearly see Veterans Motorplex, and you're going to know you're in the right place. That's the place to follow to find out all the latest coming from Veterans Motorplex. Racing season in Robertson County is here, y'all. When you get in touch with them, always please let them know U-Turn sent you. Back into the show today. This is 1100 WSGI. Sean and Pat Reilly are here. What else do we need to talk about, my friends?
Well, one more plug, and let me say something about the book or about the plug. The plug is only because I wrote this book out of heart. There's going to be more coming because I think they're fun writing. They're a lot of fun to write, too. It's kind of like reliving your life through a spiritual fantasy. I call it Christian action fantasy.
That's fun.
Essentially like that. I'm not making any money from the book. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is I want to get the message out. I think in our own way, we should be evangelists. We're told to be evangelists in our own way. Mm-hmm. One other thing that I like to do, for example, I do have a podcast. It's about 3 or 4 minutes once a week on Sunday. It's called OMNET7 Media Intelligence. And you can find it at omnet7.podbean.com. It's a Christian conservative satire and commentary.
Okay,
you might find it fun.
Spell that, what you're saying there.
OM, that's Oscar, Metro, Nectar, Echo, Tango, the digit 7 at podbean.com.
Why that name? What is
Well, that just happens to be the name of the host, but it's anywhere. If you Google OMNET7 Media Intelligence, you'll find it on all kinds of platforms.
Okay.
So if you kind of like what we're talking about today, with maybe a little bit more humor, I think you'll have a good time
that
with
up
it.
in the comments if you would, in the social media pages.
All right.
In case because I will be jetting out of here to get to school because I've been out of the classroom for 2 days. Oh my goodness, I'm so behind.
And one other thing, just one more thing. I feel like Columbo. Just one more thing. Excuse me. Just one more thing. I do a little thing called stand-up evangelism, which is about 15, 20 minutes worth of just fun, some spiritual stuff. I talk about skydiving being a leap of faith. Talk a little bit about my acting career, my alleged acting career, the days in broadcasting, the real life behind that. It's kind of a fun thing, and I did the segment at some of the churches, the Joy Church. They had a good time with it.
Oh, fun!
So if anybody would like, anybody would like to invite me to do it, that would be fun as well because I have a ball doing
comments too. Yeah. I'll try to be sure and I'll make sure and we'll put your at least a link to your Facebook page or something, something in comments. But you be sure and go back and in where we've had the show, put something in comments so people can find it. But that's cool because you've done stand up before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I had forgotten that about you. You just have done a little bit of everything.
Well, it's just another job an actor can get. I'm also a private investigator, and I find out, when I got into the service, they recruited me because I had acting ability. And everybody who was in the service with me, because we were doing undercover operations, we were wearing plain clothes, and we were just trained in language and all that sort of thing. So all of us had to be able to adapt to different situations. So I look at it like it's another job an actor can get. It's just with a little twist, Yeah. A real stand-up comedian goes out there and they pound the pavements over and over again. They bomb here and they bomb there and they make no money. And they got to do it in dirty club after dirty club after dirty club to be a legitimate stand-up comedian.
Right.
Then they might get the big break.
Yeah.
Maybe not. We used to rent out our apartment, half of our house, to a couple of stand-up comedians, and they were hysterical. They were doing shows all over the country. They were doing cruise ships.
Yeah.
They auditioned for the Letterman show like 7 times and lost it on the 8th audition. That's how rough it is to do stand-up comedy.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But if you do it just for the fun, I've done a lot of professional acting, but his comedy, the show's pretty good. I mean, it's a fun thing, and it's always changing a little bit. And it's also a way of getting the point out. Spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down.
Well, you're a funny guy, so I don't have any doubt that it would be a great show. Do me a favor. I've only have one more break to do, and we've still got 7 minutes, so we got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Walk people through your career. Where did you go to school? And just because you've got such a diverse background, just unpack for people your timeline because it's fascinating.
Parochial school, upstate New York. Graduated forensic club, debating team. Languages, learned Latin, got a basis in French. Got my first job in radio from an associate of mine at a debating tournament.
I got to pause you for a second. Who pointed you to radio? Because you've got this voice. You've got that voice.
Oh, the voice wasn't there then.
Was it not?
No.
Well, then who? No. So was it something you wanted to do, or somebody said, "Hey, you need to do radio"?
I loved radio.
Okay.
I loved radio.
Okay. I
desire. Heard the Beatles. I said, I want to be part of that. I listened to talk radio. I said, oh, this is amazing. Ideas are coming out there. It was stimulating. It sounded fascinating. But I was at a debate tournament one time, and I happened to mention the fact that I liked radio. And he said, well, I'm a disc jockey. He was like 17 years old. I said, you're a disc jockey? He said, yeah. Little station in Fulton, New York. He said, come on up sometime, sit in with me. And they offered me a job, and so I worked there for a couple of years. Then the service came along. I got into Army counterintelligence. They wanted to hire me for Armed Forces Radio, but they found out there was no openings for Armed Forces Radio. They said, he can talk. He's an actor. Make him a spy. So that's what happened. Spent 3 years in the service. We were investigating anti-American activities, shall we say. Mm-hmm. Came back, got back into broadcasting, kicked around the country, following all the transmitters, and finally settled in Nashville. Left for a few years and then came back. But always been fascinated by the investigative business. So as I came out of the service, shortly afterwards, I began to do private investigative work. I was like a DJ by day and a private investigator by night. DJ to PI, right? Yeah. So I'd rush away from the radio station, go off there with a camera and start doing a surveillance someplace. So that was it. We're still doing that today.
That's cool. I mean, it's just an interesting background, and so I've always found you fascinating, and I've always been just somebody I really looked up to in the business, in the industry. Do this for me, and let me go ahead and do my break, and then I want you to come back and give me what to tell kids that are in audio video production right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, because I have the message that I share to them. But I would be curious to see what you would share if you were in a classroom with audio video students. What would you tell them about the industry and about what's on the horizon and what they need to focus on from an audio video perspective? I would just like to hear your take on that. And then I'll kind of share mine. I've already shared mine here. But let me do my last break and then we'll come back. And I'd like to get your thoughts on that I can share with my students if you don't mind. And then we've got to get another word from Sean before we wrap up too. But let's finish up here with our sponsor, Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty. Yes, that name is a little different, isn't it? We said Exit Realty Garden Gate team for so many years. They changed the name several months ago now. Time goes so fast. And the reason that they did is because Barry opened a brokerage office in Springfield. He's on the downtown square. And then Rebecca has the office up in White House. She is an agent there. And so they took, the office they were working with was getting big and expansive. And they're like, okay, we want to bring it in and we want to put a new branch on the exit tree. That's what it is. It's the same great team, just a new branch on the exit team. It's Exit Prime Realty. And they are your source for everything you need when it comes to the real estate business. They're here in Robertson County. They're Cross-Plainians. They've been there 28 plus years. And so they specialize, of course, in our county, Robertson County, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. They got it all, guys. They do historical properties, business properties, anything, land, you name it. And they can help you out. Barry's a marketer. He was a vice president of a media marketing company for over 17 years in Nashville. He brings that expertise to the table. Can you imagine having a marketer on your team when you're trying to sell your property? It is priceless. And they're also one of the founding sponsors of the Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival coming up May 17th and 18th. I'll be there. They'll be there. We hope you will be as well. Barry and Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty. You can give Rebecca a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, or go to sellwithbecky.com or buy.robertsoncounty.com. Always let them know U-Turn sent you. All right. We lost Sean for a minute, but how would you answer that question for me, Pat?
Okay, I want to hear what you tell them first.
I tell them that it is an amazing business, and I was very blessed to be in it when it was old school radio and when you could still make a decent living. Now it's very difficult. It's like being an actor.
Really?
And it is a difficult business to make a living in if you want to be behind the microphone in front of the camera. Be ready to not make much money and to have to supplement your income because it's going to be very
There's so much competition today. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But I also tell them, never let anybody kill your dream. If that's what you want to do. And I tell them too, because of this little thing in your pocket, if you're on this in any way, you're already a broadcaster. Mm-hmm. And you need to understand how to do it effectively and in a way that won't damage your future. And so I try to teach them about different, I'm having to learn a lot about video because I'm a radio clown, and so I understand the audio side of it, but when it comes to the video side of it, I'm having to learn it with them. And I said, the better you can make yourself look, if you're going to put video out there, do it well. Do it well. And so we're discovering those things together. So I tell them, number one, don't let anybody squash your dreams. You can do anything you want to do. You're already broadcasting. Go for it. But if you want to be in traditional radio and television, get ready for a lot of competition and not making much money. And I'm just real about them. But then I tell them stories about, what's his name? Lawrence Jones. Is that his name? It's on Fox now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was with him in Dallas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
He was on The Blaze just trying to, get somewhere and get known. And now the dude's making millions of dollars at Fox. And so it can happen. Yes. Yeah, Dana Lash is a good friend of mine.
That's it.
And yes, it can happen. But it's hard, guys. So you gotta just know the reality of it. It's very much, a lot of acting to it. Mm-hmm. But we're going to be out of time. Tell me what you would say.
I would say one thing.
Okay.
Listen to LaVern. She's a Renaissance woman. You listen to LaVern, you couldn't go wrong.
You're funny. But do you think that what I'm telling them is an accurate way to describe it? Do you think I'm steering them wrong? Okay.
No.
Because I don't want to...
Listen to LaVern.
Well, thank you. You're very kind. Sean, do you have any parting thoughts? You better come on in here and tell us bye. And I'm going to tell me what you're going to do for your birthday. What's the big birthday plans? Because your birthday is coming up. What's the date again, Dad?
The 19th of April.
The 19th of April. So what are your big birthday plans, Sean? I want to hear this.
Okay.
Hang on. Let me get... Okay, go.
Okay. The plans might be going on a copter ride, going to go to Red Robin, going to have lunch there probably on my birthday, and going to have things, going to have some stuff, going to have some cake probably, going to have some ice cream probably, going to have fun with my stuff, and
Sounds good.
Sounds like such a drag, you know?
going to have everything and stuff like that.
The helicopter thing. I mean, Is that pretty much a yearly thing now, the helicopter?
It depends on our mood and how much money we got at the
Yeah, I
moment.
got you, because it's not cheap.
Well, you could spend $150, you know.
Okay, well, that's
not
bad.
really
That's
terribly
not
bad.
bad.
You go out to John Tune Airport. I'm a pilot. I love
Yeah,
aircraft.
so that's another thing. You didn't even mention the fact that you're a pilot.
Oh, well.
I remember that now.
Anyway, so we do a lot of stuff together that we share in common.
We go everywhere, don't we?
We go everywhere. We listen to music. We go for airplane rides. We just have a ball.
Yeah, and if you show up at the Y without him, they're mad, right?
It's not the Y.
Why? Where do you go work
It's
out?
the senior center in Donaldson.
That's it.
Yeah.
I knew there was a place because if Pat shows up and Sean, where's Sean?
Yeah.
So
That's
there you
it.
go.
It makes me feel.
He's more popular than you now.
He's extreme. Yes, he is, and that's fine with me. He's
There
got
you
to
go.
take. Someday, all this will be yours, Sean.
There you go.
Are we going to do it today? Go there, Jay?
Go
To
at
the senior center.
Yeah.
Yeah. First, we got to get your mom out of bed. What do you
That would
think?
be fun. Hey, you, LaVern.
What?
I need to tell you about my center. I've been having fun there every day. I've been talking to my friends I know, like Lisa and Quinn and Eva and Dawn and Mrs. Tracy now works there, and so talking to her now, she's new there. We had Kelly that worked there a long time ago, and so she's now working at a different place now, and so we have her sometimes come over and visits and has fun with everybody, and sometimes sees everybody like me and them at my center, my people, and so we have a good time. So that's it.
That's cool. I love that.
And I love that center so much.
Yeah, they're good stuff. I love it.
The doctor said that Sean would never talk.
Isn't that? There you go.
That wasn't smart of him to tell.
I love that, Sean. That wasn't very smart of him.
Hey,
That is awesome.
I think we're wrapping, Sean's.
Yeah, it's time to wrap it up, brother.
Yep.
Y'all come back and see me, okay?
All right.
All right. We got a part.
God bless
and
everybody.
God bless you guys. I got a couple. Go ahead. Do you have one more thing?
I need to see you lots more, Miss Thornburn.
Okay.
I've not seen you in days.
I know.
I'm glad you're okay now.
Yeah, me too. I'm sure glad that you're okay too. And happy birthday.
Well, thanks.
And I've got a couple of things I need to mention. We got the choral concert. I'm going to be talking more about this. But Willow Oak is having the Broadway sketches starting tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow night and Saturday night at the Willow Oak Corral. And it's going to be right there at the Roger Bunch Concert and Event Hall. You know where I'm talking about, just off the downtown square. It's tomorrow night and Saturday night. They didn't get to come in because I was sick to talk about this. So we want to make sure that you know about that. And we've also got, let's see, South Haven Baptist Church, they got a big event coming up this weekend, and this is going to be, we'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow because we're just completely out of time. But man, there's so much cool stuff. Don't dare say there's nothing going on in Robertson County, y'all. Just pay attention to what's happening, and thank you guys for joining us. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a fabulous day.